We're back on Born Before 64, and you've got me so thrilled. I want to talk a little bit about the next book with Dan Perkins.
Book 2 of the installment. Book 2, which is America Rebuilds.
Right.
Actually starts 12 hours before the end of Book 1.
Wow. Now, how did you get a publisher? I didn't ask that question.
I talked to several people, and Nancy said, you can go the traditional route of trying to find an agent and wait forever, send out gazillion copies, or you can go to what they call a hybrid self-publishing.
Right.
Find yourself a publisher that has a reputation.
Right.
I sent the book to Abbott Press and the manuscript. They told me that they were intrigued by the title. They took it through their editorial process in about 45 days, and they said, we'd like to publish this book.
Oh, wonderful.
So I finished the book, went through the grueling part of editorial, all the edits and all that stuff, which is not fun as a writer. Mm-hmm. It came out on the late in November and was started to be sold on Amazon, and on the website you can go and there's a photo section.
I know, I saw that.
And you can see the cover of the book on the largest jumbotron in Times Square.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Now let me ask you a question. Is it going to be a screenplay? Is it going to be a movie? Is it going to be a television series? Where do you see yourself next?
I have a lot of people who have read the book. In fact, the most recent review on the book, the woman who reviewed it said, I think it'd make a great movie. People tell me when they read the book, and I'd be interested when you finish reading the book, if you have the same...
It'll be tomorrow.
Okay. People tell me they can't tell whether they're watching it on the big screen or a little screen, meaning they're watching it on a movie screen or they're watching it on a television screen.
Well, actually, in today's world, it could be in both.
I agree. There's so much action, there's so much painting with words about what's going on, and that many people tell me it would make a great movie. And Book 2, which is a continuation of Book 1, and Book 3 is the final chapter, if you would. All three. But Nancy said something that was very important. If you're going to write a trilogy,
right,
don't make the reader have to go out and get Book 1 in order to read Book 2 or Book 3.
Right.
Each book must stand on its own as a work.
I agree with that.
And that's what I've done in Book 2 and 3. You have to give the reader a little bit of sense of who these people are if they didn't read Book 1.
Yeah, because I've seen different movies where I haven't seen the first movie, which was a book, and I've come into the second movie. I can imagine what the first one is, but I really want to go read it. Because a lot of times with anything like screenplays or movies or even television, unless the writer is right there, something sometimes is lost. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And I told you about the audiobook. We were talking about the audiobook idea. Mm-hmm. You want that passionate feeling that you're... And it's funny because there's a lot of people that are not reading anymore, but that will listen to an audiobook.
Sure, right.
And they'll get so excited. I mean, truck drivers are really good examples of guys that really listen to audiobooks because they're driving so long and they want to stay awake. And all the truck stops have them. Mm-hmm. And it's wonderful to go into airports today because you can get either an audiobook or you can get a book, and then if you bring the book back, you get money, right? And people, I think that's brilliant.
Yeah. You heard of the restaurant chain called Cracker Barrel?
Oh, I love Cracker Barrel.
You can get a book at a Cracker Barrel store.
I know.
Read it and drop it off at another store.
I know. Now, your readers.
Yes.
Are they excited about your second and third book yet?
I've got people sending me email. Here's my email address. Let me know as soon as it's out. Yeah. I mean, one gentleman from Dakota wrote a review of the book. He said, I like this as much as anything Lee Grant ever wrote.
Wow. That's really a pat on the back, isn't it?
Yep. It's overwhelming. Kathryn, it's just...
You never thought it was going to happen.
I did a radio interview early in January.
Right.
And the guy, it's interviews on the website, and he said to me, if a person listens to this interview or reads this book, their understanding of terrorism will be forever changed. And by the way, your life is going to be forever changed.
That's true. Well, you know, I think that I'm hoping that Americans, after reading this, or anybody that reads it, will start being more aware of their surroundings. I think people before lived in that little world, but the people in Boston today, they haven't forgotten. The New Yorkers haven't forgotten. I mean, we should be aware of our surroundings, and if that helps us to have that awareness, I think that's important.
I do, but you sparked a thought. For 18 years, I was a merit badge counselor for the Boy Scouts of America, and I worked on the required merit badges, one of them being citizenship of the nation, which is the study of the Constitution.
Which is really important.
Right. And so when you're dealing with Eagle Scouts, you're supposed to be dealing with the best and the brightest.
Right.
The last counseling session I did with a young man, one of the things they have to do is to write to a local government official about a particular issue. He wrote a letter to the superintendent of schools as to why we no longer recognize the people who died on September 11th in the New York metropolitan area, in his school district. They used to have a moment of silence on September 11th. And the response that he got back from the superintendent of schools was, quote, "It's no longer relevant."
That's ridiculous.
It's always relevant.
It is always relevant.
But that's
and I mean, you know, it's amazing how few people have ever read the Constitution, that have ever understood what our forefathers thought about. We're running out of time. I want to know what your next thing that you're doing, and I want your website and where you can buy the book.
Next thing is I've got presentations in Chatham, New Jersey.
Right.
One at the Senior Center on the 17th of September, and one at the Public Library on the 25th of September.
Wow.
And the website is Dan Perkins, atsanibel.com.
And all your appearances and everything will be up there, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, and your blogs and all the shows and everything. And this will be up there too.
You bet.
And I want to thank you so much for coming all the way from New Jersey to see us tonight. And we want to invite you back.
Thank you.
And we want to invite you to our cooking show and also our radio show, Let's Just Talk.
Thank you.
And thank you so much. And don't forget to check out our website at bornb464.com and go up to our YouTubes and you can see all of our clips. And we'll see you next time on Born Before 64.
Thank you for joining us on Born Before 64 with Kathryn Raaker. For more information on our show, check out our website at www.bornbefore64.com.